Hey everybody, John here with Cruiser Customizing. Today we've got a 2016 Victory Cross Country in the shop. We're going to throw some accessories on this thing to dress it out a bit. Arlen Ness hooked us up with all kinds of goodies for this thing. So let's go ahead and get started. Personally, I like to get all of the difficult things out of the way first. So we'll start off with this cam cover. This is going to look like one of the easier installs, but it is the easiest one to screw up because you only get one chance. This is the new billet aluminum bevel cut replacement cam cover for our Victory. This thing's got Arlen Ness's name engraved down at the bottom of it. It looks really sharp, and if I flip it around to the back here, you're going to see why you only get one chance. This is held on by double-sided tape. This stuff is extremely strong. They do give you a nice alignment groove right at the bottom. That's going to help you get everything lined up. But after we pop off this original, just make sure you take your time placing this on there because you're only going to get one shot to make sure it's nice and straight. So let's go ahead and get started here. We'll take this original. They actually say the pry point is right at the very top. So I've just got a rag I'm going to put up here to make sure I don't scratch anything. And we'll take our screwdriver, put it down there, and just start to work this original off. If you take your time, you might be able to get this off in one piece so it's still usable again. All right, that's not too bad. So we've got our original off of there. You're gonna have some adhesion material here on the back. You're gonna wanna get all of that cleaned off before we stick our new Arlen Ness piece on there. Now that we got off all the old residue, make sure you wipe down the area really well because you want a really clean surface for this new double-sided tape to adhere to make sure this thing stays fixed for a really long time. All right, here we go, our one shot. This might be easier for those of you who have fingernails. I'll use my portable fingernail here. The moment of truth. There is a small alignment notch down at the bottom, so I'm just going to slide this in nice and slow. Let that drop down onto the notch. Let it rest back into place. And then we want to push and hold for about 30 to 45 seconds to make sure this thing stays on here nice and secure. All right, that's it. One down, a couple more to go. Let's move up to the gas cap. The first step in replacement of this new gas cap is we're gonna have to get this old one out of the tank. So to do so, we just need to take out a couple screws and this thing's gonna pop out of the way. But if you notice here on the replacement that we received from Arlen Ness, there's actually only 3 screw holes. So a couple of these screws are in there for purely aesthetic reasons. So I've already broken them loose. We're just going to take out the bottom 2 and the top one here so we can install this new gas cap. Make sure you hang on to the screws because you will be reusing these on the Arlen Ness gas cap. This gas cap's not going to come out unless you unlock it because it actually locks into the tank itself. But once you've got all the screws out, you can just unlock it and set it off to the side. All gas tanks do have to breathe. The gas will build up pressure as it's out in the heat, and that will contract, so you can actually cause the gas tank to rupture or concave in on itself if you do not give it proper breathing. Now this gas cap does have a little breather tube. Make sure that that orientation is right where it needs to be. So if you look, this one has Arlen Ness's name machined into it. That's going to point right towards the rider. That's also going to line up these 3 screw points. So when we drop that in, all of those things are going to have a rubber gasket on them, and they're actually going to line up to the factory holes on the tank. So we'll go ahead and screw this one on here. go ahead and before you snug everything up, get all of the screws started. And as you can see on this, this is all an extremely easy install. I'm using one Allen wrench to do the whole thing. It's going to take me just a few moments to complete this entire process. After I get done, you'll have your new beveled billet gas cap installed and ready to go. Give everything about a quarter of a turn. Keep in mind this is aluminum, so you don't want to over tighten it and warp anything. That should do. So now we'll go ahead and install the new gas cap and you're finished. So with the gas cap installed, let's move back to the license plate bracket. I know this one might seem like a little bit of an overkill, but we are going to install this awesome billet license plate bracket that Arlen Ness was nice enough to include with the rest of these accessories. So first things first, let's get this old one off of here. This one's really easy because it's just got a couple 10 mil bolts that hold everything into place. So we'll just spin those out of here. Make sure you support this license plate bracket so it doesn't scratch any of this new paint whenever you're taking that thing off. We'll take that off of there, set it off to the side. Now before we can install the new one, the screws on this one are actually countersunk and hidden behind the billet plate itself that covers up the outside. So we're actually going to have to take this face plate off first before we install this. There's just 4 screws that hold everything into place here. So we'll just loosen those up, spin them out of here. And while we're doing the install of the support bracket, we'll actually just set those off to the side so they don't get lost. They're going to include the 2 mounting screws that you're going to need to put this into place here. So just take that, set it up against the bike, get your 2 screws started. And these have Allen heads on them, so grab your proper size Allen wrench and spin these nice and tight. Again, make sure you support that thing so it doesn't move around too much, because you do not want to scratch the paint on your new ride here. All right, flip this around, torque them down, just about a quarter turn there. Don't over tighten, which I do very, very often. Now we've got the bracket that goes right over the top, and this is actually just going to meet right up with the very top of the tail light itself and gives it a nice clean finish. So we'll get all 4 of these started before I torque anything down. Again, all of this stuff, super easy installs. You can do it at home with just your basic hand tools, and none of it takes a whole lot longer. But as you can see, it definitely dresses everything out and gives it a nice clean finish. So we'll go ahead and, again, give those just a little bit of a torque. Everything is that billet aluminum, so make sure you don't over tighten. All right, that's installed. Let's go ahead and move up to the derby cover. Replacement of the derby cover is super easy. You've actually only got 2 screws on the exterior here. We'll take those out. We'll be reusing those screws with our new derby cover. And this is just really a decorative cover, so you don't have to worry about any leaking oil or anything like that coming out of the gearbox, because all it is there for decoration to give this a bit more flash. But we like the billet unit a little bit better than the factory unit, so we'll go ahead and take this thing apart here, spin these factory screws out, and install the new one. If you ever want to reuse this factory one, make sure you set it off to the side and cover it so it doesn't get all banged up and beat up. These are actually just really thin stamped aluminum, so it's not going to hold up too well if you put it through too much abuse. As you can see, that is very, very thin. Now the replacement, this is thick bevel cut billet aluminum. It's extremely strong. So we'll go ahead and get the top screw started here, get everything lined up. And as always, make sure your orientation is correct. So make sure it says Arlen Ness down at the bottom and not on the side or something crazy there. Go ahead and tighten these up real quick. As you can see, this one, again, super easy install. Just one tool on this one, simple Allen wrench. Go ahead and spin it to the side, quarter turn. Going into a cast block, so again, do not over tighten. We don't want anything to warp. So that one's finished up. Last thing we're gonna do today is our ignition switch cover. This one's gonna take just a little bit longer, but we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and pop this out of the way so we can bring the new one over. It looks like with this ignition cover, Arlen Ness found my weakness. It's just the classic case of tiny screws, chubby fingers. So let's go ahead and get this thing started here. I've actually already taken off some of the others. You've got 7 of those little tiny screws going all the way around the outside of this thing. And once they're all removed, you'll actually notice that on the back of this, it comes with a mounting plate. So just go ahead and set that off to the side for just a minute. If you look at this thing really close, you'll notice that it looks like it's got some Mickey Mouse ears up here at the top. Well, don't confuse that for the top because it's actually the bottom. And make sure whenever you go to install this, that it has a dimple that raises up. So whenever this is installed, you want that to, the recess is going to come out towards the front, making this cover itself slide all the way back towards the back. If you're not 100% sure on the orientation of this backing plate, just go ahead and test fit it with the cover on to make sure that this portion right here at the front actually slides all the way up to the ignition itself. If you actually install this backwards, which it will fit, it is symmetrical, you'll notice that it actually does not cover up the ignition itself. So make sure whenever you put this on, you flip it around in its proper orientation. So this is gonna slide back right to where it needs to go. This is gonna come with 3 new screws to install this. So we'll just go ahead and get those started. Make sure you use that included washer as well, so it keeps everything nice and tight and keeps this mounting plate from moving around once it's installed. Once you get all of them started there, just go ahead and tighten them down. These don't have to be extremely tight, just nice and snug to where this mounting plate's not going to vibrate around and make noise while you're riding down the road. Next, we get to go to the fun part and reinstall all those little tiny screws. So we'll just give these quarter turn. Again, that's just going into those little metal clasp nuts on the back there. Little tug, make sure everything's nice and tight. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall the decorative cover. Before you get started with the first one, this mounting plate has a ton of screw holes. So this can mount in multiple different directions. Just make sure you're able to get this lined up on all 7 of the bolt holes. All right, that should be it. With all of the bolts started, just go ahead and start snugging everything up. You just want to give these about a quarter of a turn. Keep in mind, again, you're working with aluminum. No over tightening this stuff. It doesn't need to be torqued down real heavy, so we'll get everything tightened up here by hand. And that is going to finish us. As you can see, this is another super easy install on one of the Arlen Ness accessories. These things give the bike a super nice finish. They're all built extremely well, and each one of the installs goes flawlessly because this stuff is machined with precision. So we're excited to bring you all of the new upcoming videos we're gonna have. Arlen Ness has hooked us up with all kinds of product for our 2016 Victory Cross Country. So if you don't wanna miss out on any of those episodes, just click on that Cruiser Customizing logo down in the bottom right-hand corner. You can actually subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on anything that we'll have coming out in the next couple weeks for our new ride here. As always, if you have any questions about any of the Arlen Ness accessories that we've installed today, our comment section is right below this video. And in the description for this video, you'll actually find a link to each one of these individual products. If you want to get them for your own bike, you can just go down there, click on them. It'll take you to the Cruiser Customizing website. Add that stuff to your shopping cart, get it sent out to you. And until next time, everybody, that's going to finish us up for today. Tune in next week for our next round of accessories. And until next time, my name's John. Everybody, ride safe.